It seems a wire has cut, causing the power to go out. That's your fault. But who could have done it? Nobody was down here. Like, who can have done it? Nobody was down here. We need to check the generator.
Gonna give people a little time to catch up, get logged in. Give people a little time to catch up and get logged in, tune in. Give y'all a little momentum. So y'all can come on in the room. Yeah. Just to come on in the room.
Dude, you should have been ready before we came.
Serenity, why are you so loud and aggressive, my child? All right, y'all. So, I just wanted to talk briefly about. I just wanted to talk to y'all briefly about why some ancestors may be bad for you, or bad for you to communicate with or work with, or how they don't have a good intent for you. Hey, I'm trying to do this real quick. Okay, either turn it down or y'all can go in the back room. Okay? So, with that being said. But yeah, I just wanted to talk to you guys about that real quick, about, you know, the ancestors and stuff. All ancestors ain't good ancestors, okay? And how to tell the difference. And it was a very, very, very good point that was brought up. Very excellent point that was brought up, honestly. Which is also something else that I talk about as well. Okay, let's see if it's working now. Can y'all still hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hear me, can you? Okay, cool. Thank you. So, excuse me. Back to what I was talking about. Yeah, all ancestors aren't good ancestors. Now, remember when I was talking to you guys about how your DNA is made up of several different ancestors? Well, you also have to remember that just because you are composed of those several ancestors, it does not mean that those ancestors get along. It does not mean that, you know, just because they all reside in one body, every last one of your genetic coding is all kumbaya within that body. No, not at all. So, for instance, that is what comes into play where you have a racial group of where, you know, mixed kids, those who have black and white parents. Well, they don't know whether they want to be black. They don't know if they got to be white, but they know they're in a whole nother group of their own. So what do you think that does to a person physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally? Being torn apart like that. Like, you know the history of your African ancestors and you know the history of your white ancestors at the same time. And you just sort of stuck in the middle like, okay, so you mean to tell me somewhere down along the line, you know, one of my great grandfathers must have raped or molested my great grandmothers somewhere down the line. But you also have to take into account what their mindset was back then, what their energy was back then. So if Massa was busy raping back then and still passed away with that I hate niggas mindset and mentality, and they ain't nothing but slaves and this, that, and the third, that is the exact same energy he will carry in death. So that is why, hold on, y'all. Okay, sorry, y'all. But that is why you have ancestors who will literally attack you in your sleep. I mean, that's just what it is. If you had an ancestor who loved touching on children and he took that shit to the grave and now he's gone and everybody wants to tell the truth about it now, his spirit is going to continue doing that. And that's very real. Even for me, for instance, I have an ancestor named Uncle Leroy. Now, Uncle Leroy would always sit here and he was real funny. Like, he would grab my hand and, he'd kiss my hand, and then at the same time he kissed it, he would bite the shit out of my hand. And he would always tell me, beware of the gentleman. Which is so very true. That was a lesson and a blessing right there. Because he would literally kiss my hand and bite my hand and stare you down. Beware of the gentleman, little girl. And the lesson that I got from that as I got older was literally like, beware of wolves in sheep's clothing. Everybody say they about something, but they really not. Everybody presents themselves in a certain way, but that doesn't mean that they are. And the fact that he literally would kiss my hand and I'm like, oh, this is my uncle, that's so sweet, and would literally turn around and bite the shit out of me too. It was like, what the fuck? Beware of the gentleman. Men like to come possessing gifts and smiles and stuff, even women too. But then once you get in that relationship with them or that situationship with them, it turned completely south. And it's the same way with your ancestors. If you know for a fact that for whatever reason, generation after generation, something keeps happening sexually, and, your kids are fighting in their sleep or something, at some point you got to remember, you may have had an ancestor that used to like to rape people in their sleep. And if that's a traumatic thing that has happened to you and you're still having nightmares and dreams about it, how do you think that's going to affect your children? How do you think knowing that process is going to affect your children? You get what I'm saying? That's like if, say for instance, if one of your ancestors, used to love playing cards in life, and now that they're gone, you always seeing a deck of cards somewhere doing something with a deck of cards. That's because that ancestor still shows you that preference that they have for that. So, if your ancestors enjoyed, being drunk and would demolish stuff, and that's how they died, that is what they are doing right now. So, if you had somebody dying in a gunfight because they were on some shady type shit, that's what they're doing in the afterlife right now. Doing shady type shit. All blood ain't good blood. All ancestors ain't good ancestors. Okay? You gotta realize that. If you had that great grandmother who always was just disgruntled and was always screaming and yelling and, y'all goddamn kids get on my goddamn nerves, that's not the ancestor you want on your altar, because if she had that if she was like that in life, she's like that in death too. If if she was annoyed by y'all presence in life when she passed away, she ain't gonna want to be talking to y'all or do nothing for y'all at all. It don't matter if, oh, well, that's my ancestor, she's supposed to protect me. Says who? That's literally like saying, I know somebody raped and molested me, but I'm going to put them on my ancestor altar once they die. The fuck I won't. Lo siento. I won't. Because that's not an energy you want to keep around you. Because if they were molesting you or beating on you or touching you in life, think of all the energy attached to it in death. Think about them invading your dreams in death. Think about them invading your energy when you asleep. That's why some of y'all be dreaming and you feel that heavy presence on top of you. And it remind you of something that happened as a child and you don't know why ain't nobody there. That's because you're still allowing those ancestors to feed and do and live off of you. All ancestors ain't good ancestors. And heaven forbid your ancestors were white. Or they had some type of displacements towards black people or people of another race, period. Because then you're going to be tormented. And every time you go to beseech your ancestors for blessing, he going to be like, take your black ass on, nigger. I'm blessing you. And that's very true. He wasn't trying to do nothing for you in life. What make you think he gonna do it for you in death? You have to remember the only difference for them in the spirit realm is that if they don't have enough anger, passion, or energy to actually move something or to do something, they still walking around here. They still sitting here kicking, chilling, listening to everything we're saying and doing. They ain't went nowhere. They just can't feel no more. They can't touch. They're not in this realm. You get what I'm saying, y'all? They still around here, but they just cannot do what we do in this realm. There is none of this. But if they get pissed off enough or they get upset enough, oh yeah, they'll come in there and start knocking pictures down. They'll start throwing stuff off your dresser. They'll start opening cabinets. Your car won't start. That toilet will explode out of nowhere. That feeling, that emotion, that energetic motion of those energetic soul-tied spirits does not go anywhere. So if they get mad in life and they was whooping your ass, think about how it is in death. In the spirit realm, if they really wanted to get up in there with you. If they really wanted to get up in there with you. Think about that. If you had an ancestor that was doing things to you in life, that does not stop because they pass away. 9 times out of 10, if they were in that negative mindset, that negative energy, and in that negative force when they passed away, that is what they're doing right now. Because they felt nothing wrong. They saw nothing wrong. So to them, there was nothing wrong. So if you had an ancestor that was always, like I said, in slave times, was always molesting y'all, and now you know generation after generation after generation, all the girls are getting molested. What ancestor do you think you feeding right now? You get what I'm saying? All energy ain't good energy. All ancestors ain't good ancestors. That's why I teach you guys and I tell you guys, know who y'all peoples is. Build a bond with them. Do it slow. Don't just dive into it and be like, oh, everybody that's an ancestor belongs on my altar. Everybody that's an ancestor ain't trying to help your black ass. Sorry. That's just what it is. And that is when you have to become aware of yourself. You have to become aware of the things within you. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that real quick. Hi guys, hi Rhonda. Thank you. I'm glad it made sense. Like, y'all got to be careful about that. And if you don't, and then if you don't realize that, think of all the doorways you leaving open for your kids, for your children. They're getting attacked by spiritual ancestors that they know nothing about because you knew nothing about, or because you chose not to tell them, hey, this is what happened to me. So if you ever feel like this, let me know. Now your son or your daughter is waking up with bruises and scratch marks on them, and you like, dog, that used to happen to me when I was younger. Why do you think it happened? What was the situation that caused it? Spiritual attacks don't always come from the outside. They come from inside. So yeah, y'all. I just wanted to speak on that real quick and talk about that real swift like. Y'all got any questions for me? Questions, comments, or concerns? What's wrong, Ma?
Her other AirPod is not in her ear.
Oh, goodness. Look under the couches and stuff, baby. Do y'all got questions, comments, or concerns? Do. I know I'm in the process of doing a lot myself. So this importance of healing ritual again. Yes, this is the importance of the healing ritual again. This is the importance of the healing ritual again. I say it again. This is the importance of the healing ritual again that I do with you guys. And it's so vital and important. You got to know what you're getting yourself into, because if you don't know what you're getting into, how are you going to know to get yourself out? How are you going to get yourself out? How are you supposed to save you and you don't know how? If your ancestors don't want to know you, and then that's your answer. If they won't allow you to see things, or say, for instance, you don't know who your ancestors are, and you do open yourself to ask them, show me things of your liking, of your belonging and stuff. And over over a time period, you may start seeing like turkeys, or you'll see feathers, or you'll be attracted to certain type of music, stuff like that. Those are how your ancestors will point themselves out to you, by showing you this was part of our culture. This was part of our culture. Just like for me, when I first started my journey, the first spirit that literally came to me was New Orleans. Everything about New Orleans. So I literally went from there. Then I went through my Ancestry.com and started piecing things from there. So that's another way how they will show themselves to you. And if they don't want to show themselves to you, they won't. If they don't want to deal with you, they won't. But if you keep pushing and you keep pushing and you keep pushing and you keep pushing, you're going to get what you're asking for, and you're going to lose what you had. Which either means they're going to become so obsessed and because you kept bothering them, now they're going to repeatedly bother you. Now you can't get rid of them, because they're going to repeatedly bother you even after they told you no. So now it's vice versa. So find out who you're working with. Find out who your ancestors are. Don't just stick every last ancestor that passes away on your altar. Everybody don't belong on that altar. Like for my altar, I literally only have people that I've created memories with. Good memories with. Decent memories with. I'm not going to put Lester Molester on my altar. I'm not going to put anybody else who've done me any harm, hurt, or damage to me or my child on my altar. You get what I'm saying? Now, if spirit comes to me and they want to change or they want to, apologize or make an atonement, and I am led to do something to open that healing for that spirit so that we can work together, that's different. Now, you will have spirits that do realize what they were doing before they passed away, but never got to say anything or act on that, that remorse or that regret. And they never got a chance to apologize. They will come to you and seek your forgiveness, and they'll talk to you about it. And then spirit will tell you what needs to be done to make things right for that. All right, Rhonda, inbox me, boo-boo. They'll tell you what needs to be done. So if, for instance, you're like, okay, what is it that you did? And now you're having dreams about being beat up all the time? Or you waking up with bruises? Or you waking up sore and stuff? That may be that ancestor's way of saying that they were an abusive ancestor. And they need you to create an atonement or a forgiveness to release them of that. Or you may have an ancestor that is atoning for how they acted when they were on drugs or something. So you always seeing crackheads and stuff acting out. You see what I'm saying? They're showing you their fault in death so that you can still make that correction. Would you suggest we take down an altar that's open to every ancestor? You should not have an altar that is open to every ancestor. Period. Only have your ancestor altar with those that you have a connection with. Don't open it to every single body out there, because if you do, you don't know who y'all letting into your house. I literally had a student living with me, right? And she was doing her ancestry, and she wanted to know who her bloodline was. I did a bloodline ritual for her, and it opened up the doorway to all of her ancestors. But when she ended up finding out was one of her ancestors was a slave owner, whole white man. And the next night, she had him on the altar, was leaving him water, food, and all of that good stuff. But her boyfriend was a black man. She's Puerto Rican. The ancestor was literally invading him, choking him in his sleep, scratching him up. Oh, because he didn't like black men. This was her inviting her ancestor that was supposed to protect her. But he was not protecting her. He was choking her in her sleep. He was choking him in his sleep. Was scratching them both. So I had to do something to get rid of that ancestor in the house. Because he wasn't going. He was not happy. He was not happy his bloodline was tainted. He was not happy that she was laying with a nigga. He was not happy at all. So you really have to be careful about what ancestors you are allowing around you. It's great to be aware that there are a numerous amount of ancestors. Leave them a white candle. Give them some water. But do not put pictures of them up and literally start opening doorways that you can't close. Because you have to remember, before you ever set up an altar, your body is the altar, okay? They can come and go from here anytime they want to. They can make you see, feel, and do anything they want to at any point in given time. be careful of that. All ancestors are not good ancestors. All energy ain't good energy. Watch who y'all inviting around in y'all environment. Watch who you're reverencing on your altars. So, if y'all have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to hit me up in my inbox. I have a ritual to do today for one of my favorite. They're becoming one of my favorite clients after yesterday. I love these people, but I have to go back and refresh my candles and water for them tonight. It almost reminds me of having a newborn baby of my own, literally. And it's so much, it's not fun, but it's fun. Like, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. But got to get ready for that. So if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, I'll be finishing up my readings and stuff today. I'm not going to be really moving around too much. So I'll be here. If I think of anything else to say, or you guys have any other questions or something else or other topics you would like me to talk about, let me know. We can get on it. All right, y'all. Namaste, but nah, I'm going to stay over here. Hello.